guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And in this video, we're going to be doing a Bengals deep dive. Obviously, the Bengals had a big offseason, especially in the draft, picking up 1 overall, starting a new era in their franchise with Joe Burrow. So, a lot of different expectations for them heading into this year and beyond under second-year coach Zach Taylor. So we're going to break it all down for you.
It all does start at Joe Burrow, and that is basically why we're making this video. They are starting to look more relevant after their draft class. We could go through that in a moment. But they really did add an influx of talent. They have Joe Burrow now. You assume he's going to start the season unless they're going to put Ryan Finley in there. That didn't work out for them last year. So I would assume it's him. And then they also drafted T. Higgins. And really, you look at some players on this roster, and you kind of forget they're on the Bengals because they haven't been relevant in a while. I mean, there's players that are better than you might think all across this roster.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. There's a lot of people, like Tyler said, that you don't hear that much because they've been kind of so awful for so long. That's why they picked at pick number 1. They're also in the division with the Ravens, who won the AFC last year, getting the first seed. So that was kind of tough for them as well, having to play them twice a year. But they do have some great names. Tyler mentioned some of them: Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, the new faces on the team. But some other guys like A.J. Green, he's still there, still relevant. He hasn't done a lot recently because he was injured all of last year, so he never really got out there to show himself. I was about to say it. Joe Mixon, I think he's going to be a great running back of the future. He's had a good young career so far, and I think it's going to get better and better as years pass. I think he's going to be a good running back. Maybe not a phenomenal running back. He's not really a power back. He's got some of the speed and agility back, but he's definitely a great back for the Bengals. They also got some other guys back there who can use some power as well. So that's my analysis on the skill positions.
Also, another player on offense that we could talk about that people forget about is Tyler Boyd. I feel like he's an underrated player. Maybe not amazing, but we've seen him make plays, and we saw it against the Ravens just a couple years back with that huge game to knock them out of the playoffs, I believe. And in other moments, too. He's been all over the place, but just really silent. And it seems now, we didn't have A.J. Green last year to help him, so even if A.J. Green isn't there, T. Higgins is also going to be there. They got a nice wide receiver core going.
While we're going on wide receivers, I'm going to name 2 more off because I really like how you named Tyler Boyd. I think he's going to have a good career as well. But someone who was doing good early last year and even kind of the whole year was Auden Tate. Yeah. He was showing himself a little bit. And then John Ross has been doing some stuff in there as well. So those are really the 4 wide receivers. They actually have a decent wide receiver
class.
Bad.
They can stay healthy.
Yeah, if they can stay healthy, I think they'd be pretty good. Headlined by A.J. Green and T. Higgins, the rookie, but also Auden Tate, John Ross, Tyler Boyd. Those other 3 guys, that would be very fun to watch. They can go 5 receivers wide a lot of the time because they do have a lot of talent at the position. So I think they're really building a better and new roster that will hopefully make the Bengals great again.
Yeah. Also, at their offensive line, it's not the greatest offensive line that you've ever seen. But, I mean, there's some good. They drafted Hakeem Adeniji, who I liked in the draft. Billy Price is their center. Those are not bad names at all. So I do like what they got going there as well.
The only problem is that they don't really have a great tight end on their roster just yet. They have some people that you might know if you watch around the NFL, but nobody spectacular. They lost some guys like Tyler Eifert. I actually don't know where he is now. Jacksonville, thank you. But they kind of lost that element of the game. So they have the wide receivers to back it up, but they still do not have the tight end just yet.
Yeah, and one guy that I don't think either of you mentioned was Jonah Williams.
I was just about to get there, while we're talking about it.
So, yeah, he was hurt all last year, so he was my number 1 tackle from the draft year.
They basically had 2 first-round picks that they're about to get to unveil this year.
So I imagine he'll play left tackle, so I'm excited to see him finally get on the field.
Me too. He was my favorite lineman coming out of that draft class. I think he'll probably live up to it. Let's go to the defense now. We talked a lot about the offense, and then we can get into their additions over the offseason. But, I mean, obviously, they have a headliner in Geno Atkins. They got DJ Reader as well. Ryan, you know a lot about him. He was on the Texans. Carlos Dunlap is also in there. Sam Hubbard's a guy you can throw out there as well. Yeah, keep
A lot
going.
of good players.
Keep adding on. And there's just people I'm seeing that they drafted that I really like across the board as I looked at the
There's
roster.
people that they drafted, and there's also people that they picked up, which I'm reading through the roster right now, and I didn't know these people were actually on this team. Von Bell from the Saints is on this team, the safety.
Yeah.
They also got
Forgot
Trey
about him.
Waynes, the quarterback from the Vikings. He's on this team now, so they did beef up their defense. I still think defense is the weak point of this team. They don't have all positions completely covered yet, but they have time to do so. They're not really in a huge talk for going to the Super Bowl this year. Now, obviously, every team, their goal is to go to the Super Bowl every year. I think they do need 1, maybe 2 more years of rebuilding just to get that defense together, add some more pieces to the offense to really become a true and harsh competitor for other teams and competing for a Super Bowl. But I think they are still pretty good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially that defensive front. I think that defensive front has potential, especially with the additions they've made.
Yeah, I agree. If I were to make a comparison, I would say this is kind of like last year's Cardinals with the improvement they might make. Maybe not like the offensive style, but I'm saying like as a hop from one year to another. Like I see them having a similar record to what the Cardinals did last year. We'll get to that in a second, but I do want to go through the draft class now. We talked about Joe Burrow and T. Higgins already. This was an underrated one, which I love this pick. I thought this Logan Wilson, in my mind, could have gone higher. They got him in the 3rd round out of Wyoming. I really loved what he was able to do at the linebacker position. And then, in case that didn't work out, they got Akeem Davis Gaither, who a lot of people liked. I like Wilson better, actually. And then in the 5th round, they got Khalid Kareem. The 6th, I talked about Hakeem Adeniji, and I know that's a 6th round, but I think he's a guy who could actually make an impact maybe later on in year 1. Maybe won't get a starting job because he's drafted 6th overall. But still, watch out for him. And then Marcus Bailey in the 7th round. If you guys want to add anything on to any of those players, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that I really like what they did in the draft overall. Obviously, Burrow was obvious. But then T. Higgins, too. I think that was a good pick to get him a weapon. It's kind of cool because they played against each other in the national championship. Now they're teammates. So I think that's going to be a fun rookie QB and wide receiver pairing to watch in year 1. I think they're both going to have great years. And then, I think they did a good job adding some depth at linebacker later in the draft, rounds 3 and 4. As we said earlier, the defense still a weak point. The defensive front shows promise, but other than that, I still think they need to continue to get young guys in the room and build. They started that process in the draft, and I think that was great. So yeah, I know it was obvious that they had to take Burrow 1st overall, but that was just a huge step because it really signals a new era for this franchise.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan, you said his name too, but the guy I wanted to highlight is T. Higgins. This is someone that I really liked. I think he slipped farther than where I had him ranked. I think, at 5 on my wide receiver big board.
I did too.
Some other guys went before him, like Jalen Rager, and he fell farther back into the draft. And 1st pick of the 2nd round, the Bengals gladly scooped him up. This is someone that I really like. I think he has great size. I think he has great hands, great athleticism. There's so many times where he can jump so high, get the toe taps and bounce. I love what I see from him. Reminds me of also another rookie wide receiver who I really like, Denzel Mims. Just had to throw his name in there because I think the Jets got themselves a stud in Denzel Mims. I have Denzel Mims and T. Higgins basically ranked the same around that 5 area. But this is not a Denzel Mims video. This is a Bengals video and a T. Higgins premiere right now.
You want to do a Jets deep dive so bad, just let us know.
Well, I could talk about Denzel Mims.
They had some good picks too. But this is the Bengals.
Yes.
Yeah, and T. Higgins going to be continuing to wear the orange, so that's kind of nice for him. Lastly, before we get into the records, I always do talk about special teams. We got to talk about it. And this is maybe not an elite group. They're long snapper. They have 2. I don't know which one actually plays, but they got Dan Godzilla and Clark Harris. Their punter is Kevin Huber, who I really haven't heard of much, but he's been there for a while.
Okay.
He's fine. I mean, he's not like one of the top in the league. And then Randy
you don't
Bullock,
watch any Bengals games, so you're not really to know their special teams unit because they're never on. You're not really seeing
that's a good point. And then Randy Bullock, who
he's been all around the league.
Yeah,
was he with the Texans at one point, Ryan?
What?
Was he with the Texans at one point?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
for a couple of years.
Yeah. So he's found his new spot right here. I don't know how long he's been there or not. But that's the special teams. I did want to throw that out there. Now let's go to Jordan. We're going to do our record predictions. Jordan's going to be starting. We do this every video with the deep dives. Jordan, start it off.
All right, so I think the Bengals, like Tyler said before, they're going to have sort of a Cardinals growth, but it's not going to be tremendous just yet. I think they're going to win a lot more games than they did last year. I don't think they'll make the playoffs just yet. I think they'll just be on the brim of it with this new playoff format. I'm going to give them 8-8 this season just because I don't like their defense too much yet. I love the offense. I really do. I want to see more production from the defense. Go out there and prove me wrong, Bengals, but I'm going to give you an 8-8 record. Right down the middle, 50 on wins and losses. I think it's going to be pretty good for them, and they'll grow in the future. Yep.
Yeah, this team is definitely going to be better this year. They made a lot of good additions. They step in the right direction. But like Jordan said, it's just too soon. This team is too young. They got a young coach in Zach Taylor, new system with Joe Burrow and other guys they've brought in on both sides of the ball. And a tough division, you saw what Baltimore did last year. Pittsburgh's got Big Ben coming back. The Browns are a team that I think is going to be in the playoffs. So it's not going to be easy, and I think this process of getting the Bengals back to the playoffs is going to take time, and I don't think it's going to happen this year. So I agree with a lot of what Jordan said, but I'm going to go just a little lower. I say they go 7-9, but still a great improvement from a year
And let
ago.
me cut you off before Tyler, because Ryan was sort of biased and didn't mention something when talking about divisions. All he mentioned was the Browns. But he forgot that the Ravens, who just won the AFC North and also got the number 1 seed, like I talked about earlier, are still in that division, plus the Steelers team, who have Big Ben back, and they're on track to start doing better things this year. So it's a really tough division, an interesting division, to say the least.
Okay, let's not get into that conversation again with Lamar and that whole thing. But I'm going to say that I agree with you guys both heavily on what you guys said. Ryan, that was a great point by you mentioning the division. I honestly could see a scenario where we see the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers find their way into the playoffs, especially with that
stupid new
the new rule that's coming up.
Right.
It's going to be tough for them. Great. I do see improvement, like I said earlier. I'm with Ryan. I'm giving it a 7-9 record. If they were in an easier division, maybe a little higher, but it's going to be tough to win those divisional games. Yeah. Great way to end off the video there with that voice crack. Before I do this outro, I do want to say, if you're watching this on the day it comes out tomorrow, we're doing a live stream. It's Saturday the 6th. Is that what it is?
Yes, it is.
That is our year anniversary of the channel. Our first video is posted a year from that day. We're going to be live streaming and celebrating. So please come join us. We would love to see you guys there. And if you show up, we're definitely going to be able to answer all the questions you got.
Yeah.
So with that, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, comment your opinions about the Bengals down below. Tune into our live stream. And with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.